Welcome to Powered by Authenticity. Whoa, what a week. I don't know about all of you guys, but it has definitely been a busy week. But I'm actually here for my favorite hour of the week, and that is spending time with a great podcast guest. And today I'm joined by Heimy Molina. Heimy, how are you?
I'm good, Emily. Thanks for having me. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for being here today. I know you're in Australia, so it's definitely a difference of time zone. So it's bright and early for you there. So thank you for joining us this morning for your time.
It's a great way to start the morning, so happy to be here.
All right, that's great. Well, I have had the distinct opportunity to look at your LinkedIn profile and see just like what the amazing work is that you're doing within the engineering and STEM career fields. But I would love for you to give an intro to the podcast listeners about who you are.
Thanks so much for that. Hi, everyone. My name is Heimy Molina. I'm originally from the Philippines, but now I currently reside in Sydney, Australia. I'm a full-time engineer. I just recently graduated a few months ago, actually, and I've been involved in a lot of volunteer work and organizations and committees, especially ones that are promoting females in STEM and females in engineering. And yeah, I think it's really my passion. And one thing that I got around to doing in my extra time was actually go to schools and actually mentor the kids and tell them that it's okay if you want to be a tradie. It's okay if you want to do engineering or a male dominated field. As long as your mind is set into it, then you can do it.
Oh, that's great. And that's a great reminder. And going into the schools, isn't that such a rewarding opportunity?
Yeah, it's definitely priceless. Like the faces of the kids, especially after you've told them everything and like how they speak to you and they thank you and they tell you, "Oh, thank you for like validating my feelings." It's amazing. It's just I can't put it into words really.
Yeah, I had the opportunity last spring, it was, to go into one of our public school systems and just, it was so
Mhm.
fun to talk about data and analytics, but put it to our local football hero and the way he uses it. So fun. It's just so fun to watch those sparks fly in their eyes.
Yes, definitely. I agree to that.
Well, here at Powered by Authenticity, we love to do a little bit of an icebreaker question to get things kicked off. So, question for you: what's your favorite movie?
Well, it actually really differs from the genre, but I guess on the top of my head, it's Now You See Me. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's like those magicians trying to like perform a lot of acts around the world as so as to help the community. I really love that movie because the message behind it is that people think it's impossible until you show them it's possible. So that is my life mantra, and I totally agree with that. And I take that with me every step of the way, whether it may be at uni or at work or just life in general. So I think I really love that movie, aside from the fact that it has amazing special effects. Um, that was one of the main takeaways for me was the message at the end.
That's amazing. Producer Ken, good evening. How are you?
Hello, hello. Pretty good.
What's your favorite movie?
No, I was mulling this over all week, and I always just keep coming back to some of those Star Trek movies. I love all of them. Really. Maybe First Contact would be my favorite.
I see, Hammy, you were nodding your head there too.
Mostly because my partner loves the Star Wars and Star Trek stuff.
Yeah,
So
they're great. And I'm with you that, it really depends on the genre, but also the seasons for me. I feel like I have different, favorites. And I guess just because of where we are in the season and also the message is, I'm going to go with It's a Wonderful Life. I just absolutely love that movie and the community coming together at Christmas. And, we're in a smaller town. So I think it just resonates that it's there's good in all people.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love Christmas. So, yay.
I know, me too. uh, well, like I said, I'm so excited that you're here. One thing when we started connecting, I noticed out on your LinkedIn profile is you use the term Womengineer. And I want to know more about this. Tell me like the background and kind of how you came up with this because I absolutely love it.
Well, thank you. Yes, it is definitely my pride and joy, that one. It all started when we were choosing electives for university. And because I took up engineering, most of the students, engineering students, would find something related to engineering. Well, I wasn't really fond of that. So I wanted a break from engineering as well as find something that's more transferable and can be applied to any industry. So I took a class in personal branding. And one of the main things that we had to do was to create a brand that we want to be known for. And I was having a really hard time because engineering, like just the surface level, is a bit boring. It's really hard to get people engaged. And yeah, and then I was just like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do, blah, blah. And then I realized that I had to look inwards to see what I want to present outwards. So my passion was definitely the female presence in STEM and engineering. So that's when I realized that, oh, maybe I should go into that path. And I just basically looked at words that kind of mashed together, and women in engineering were the ones that kind of just like rolled out of the tongue better. So I stuck with that, and I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes after this. But yeah, I never looked back since. Ever since that one little class, and I had like 5 LinkedIn followers, and now I have like 2,000 something, and I still have that brand with me. So I'm guessing it
Yeah,
worked.
it did. I like how you just said something, and I don't think we talk about this enough. It's personal branding. So you really took your love and the direction for engineering and made it your own. And you know, I love personal branding. I took a course last March. I think that as women, we don't do it enough. We're not out there with our brand, making a name for ourselves through personal branding. So I love how you came up with that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think personal branding is a form of self-investment, and most people, I think that's why there's kind of a stigma in it, is because most people kind of confuse it with being arrogant,
Hmm.
when in fact it's just confidence and believing in yourself. And I guess once you know where to find that fine line, you're all set.
Yeah. And I think too, I know as women, we often fall to that imposter syndrome as well. So if I'm out there saying I'm doing all these great things, am I? You're worried about
Yeah.
that imposter syndrome. How do you get past that? Because like I said, you've done a great job at taking your brand and really making it really develop and become something. So have you ever had to deal with imposter syndrome and how have you gotten through that?
Well, yeah, that has definitely happened to me multiple times. And what I learned is that it happens to me when I try to compare myself to what other people have done, or, especially with social media nowadays, it's so easy to see
Yes.
everyone's highlights and not like their lowest of lows. So you get really into that mindset of, oh my God, I'm not doing enough, or is what I'm doing enough? And yeah, so instead of looking at what others have done, I looked at different versions of myself instead. Heimy 5 years ago would not have done this. Heimy 10 years ago would have just dreamt of this happening. But here I am now, just everything that I've manifested, I'm doing. Everything that I've worked for, I can see now that it's developing. And once I had that mindset of just comparing myself to different versions of myself instead of other people, then I kind of got rid of it pretty quick. I still have that random thoughts, but I just always revert back to that past Haney 5 years ago. And then, yeah, it kind of solves everything.
I so I honestly, that's a great way to think about it. Compare yourself to yourself. And take that moment to do that self-reflection of how much you've grown, especially when you start to feel like I'm not doing enough quick enough. I think that taking a pause and realizing, to your point, hey, me 5 years ago, it's probably looked a little bit different than now. And I think that's an important reflection time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially because I saw this quote when they said that ships sink because of the water that surrounds them that gets into them. And I think that's a great way to visualize imposter syndrome when you compare things to what others do. And yeah, I've always just had that image in my head whenever imposter syndrome plots and stuff come up.
Now, with that and growing yourself and your personal brand, would love to know some of the levels of importance of networking. So, how have you gone out there? Share. I would love to hear your story about networking because to take that LinkedIn profile, I think you said you've got a couple thousand followers out there now and connections, and I just would love to hear your story and your thoughts on networking as a whole.
So, in Philippines, we didn't really do much networking stuff, so everything was new to me when I came here because I flew in here in 2019 to study uni. And after my first year of uni, COVID happened. So no one was talking or seeing each other face to face. So my social skills weren't as great as they are right now. And then suddenly, when everything opened and networking events started to happen, I just realized that I was so awkward with stuff. And it made me uncomfortable. And I remember going to my first networking session, I felt like I was about to vomit. Like it was just the thought of seeing people in person was already scaring me. And I hated that feeling so much. So I definitely saw the need to work on it. So what I did was that using my LinkedIn, I did it step by step because I think I was just really daunted because I was looking at like the whole staircase type of thing. So I did it step by step and started talking to random people on LinkedIn that are within my industry or industries that I'm interested in. And then we'd have like a little bit of a conversation. And after that, I'll be like, okay, cool. I can sustain a conversation. And then from then on, I just started like joining all the networking events. And if I made a mistake, then like I learn from it. I don't wallow in it because I believe that mistakes are the best teachers only if you let them to. So I just use them as lessons. And yeah, I realized the importance of networking because not only do you build the people that you know, but you also build your soft skills, like your communication skills and everything else. And I think those are very very important transferable skills in the industry because you don't really learn that with lectures. Yeah, and when I saw the importance of that, then I just kept on going, and now I just love going to networking events, and I don't have that vomity feeling anymore.
Yeah, it's we had a guest on a few weeks ago, and she talked about what a difference it made to her path when she started to go out to networking events by herself instead of taking somebody with her, that was a comfort zone, right? So getting out there. And so it's great job by you by recognizing that you needed to get out there and taking that step.
Yeah, it is definitely like really daunting, but I found the most interesting stories and met the most interesting people through networking. And whenever I felt stuck in the path that I'm taking, I'll just talk to someone who is like 5 years ahead of me and gone through that path, and then I'll know what I need to know. Like no book can tell me that. It's a person's experience, it's a person's perspective. It's a different experience, and I'll never traded for anything. That's why I was like, yeah, we need to work on our networking skills because we have to do this a lot because it's amazing.
I think something you just said there is really important as well, and that is finding the the reach up, if you will, connection on LinkedIn. So somebody who's doing what you want to do and connecting with them. Have you found that most people are really open to those conversations when you reach out? Like I've found that most people are excited that somebody wants to speak with them about their experience. What's been your experience?
Yeah, I have the same experience. Everyone was just really excited that someone came up to them, like out of initiative. And that's when I realized that my initial thoughts of like, oh my God, what if they would say no? What if they just snub me or leave me unseen and stuff like that was like totally out the window. And I quickly realized after talking to these like really enthusiastic people, even though I came across people that said no or this like left me unseen, then it's not really so much of a loss. Like at least I tried because the worst thing that can happen with you approaching people is them saying no. and that's it. That doesn't really affect you so much in any way. So once I had that mindset, I just kept approaching and approaching and approaching, and yeah, built my network even not in person.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that the no's. I found that when it's a no, it's really just because people are busy. They just can't fit anything more into their day. Have you had the opportunity out of these connections to find coaches and mentors that you're now working with?
Yes, definitely. I've met so much amazing people like you, Emily. Like without LinkedIn, I probably wouldn't have met you. And I met my mentor on LinkedIn. Her name's Eleanor. She's amazing. She's got me through the toughest of times, and she's actually the first one to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and that's kind of when it clicked to me that you can just reach out randomly and get something like really good out of it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Just jump in, do this, do that. Just have the initiative and the enthusiasm, and yeah, that's how I met my mentors. And some of my jobs I found through LinkedIn as well. So it has really come in full circle for me. And yeah, LinkedIn's kind of like my Bible now.
Do you use any other social? I'm genuinely curious. Do you use any other social platforms? Like, do you use Facebook or anything like that to reach out and connect?
Yes, so I have Facebook and Instagram,
Hmm.
and it's mostly for personal use, but I add little things that I post on LinkedIn there as well so that they can kind of connect. And yeah, because like you'll never know, and especially um with like my stuff, like when I try to teach or speak, it's mostly towards like uni students or below.
Hmm.
So those kinds of target market, you kind of have to get them through other medias because not all of them would have a LinkedIn. Like someone 30 and above would probably have LinkedIn. Like
Yep.
there's a bigger LinkedIn community, but people in uni, they're just starting. They don't really have a LinkedIn. So if you have a target market, don't be like, oh, everyone's just going to be like an Instagram, but I'll have Facebook because that's just what I want. I was like, no, my target market is this, then we should have this, this, and this. And yeah, it's amazing. And I use it to connect to people. So not really a problem to have multiple socials.
No. Yeah, another thing that you just said there resonated with me about knowing kind of like who your audience and where to go to target that audience, right? Like if you, to your point, 30 and above really does feel comfortable on LinkedIn. My daughter who just started university, she's probably not going to have a LinkedIn profile just yet, although I think they do build it in pretty quickly. Producer Ken shaking his head yes. I think that's important for growth because I one thing that I've talked about in the past, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, is kind of that generational coaching. So if I'm maybe, I'm 51, I'm going to learn a lot from somebody who's 30 coming into my industry and kind of part of my circle because they may have newer, fresher ideas. And yet somebody who's younger, I'm definitely going to be able to help coach and mentor. So what do you think about that, kind of that bi-directional type of coaching? Do you think it's important in both the workplace and in your personal life?
Yeah, I think it's very important because being either a mentor or a mentee is always like a two-way street. The mentor learns from the mentee and teaches the mentee, and the mentee can also learn from the mentor and also teach the mentor some things because I've been in both sides and I've seen the massive importance. Right now I'm 24 and I talk to people in all walks of life and in all ages because I don't want that mindset of, oh, this one is very young and doesn't have any experiences, so I don't want to listen to them. I think that's a very um, stagnant mindset. I like to have a growth mindset. So I like to speak to young people because, like you said, they have really fresh ideas and they have the positivity and enthusiasm of going into the industry. And for me, I love that. And
Yeah.
with people that have more experience, I can learn from their journey and everything that they wish they did or not did not do, stuff like that. So you always get something from someone, regardless of their background or their age. So I think it's very important to have that wide cast of network and not just have like a tunnel vision of, oh, I just want to speak to engineers, for example. That'll be a bit boring, but um, but yes, you just gotta widen your network because you'll never know what you'll get from this person. And the only way for you to find out what you'll get from him is to talk to them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice too. It really is. Um, the other thing is, I think it's really important to always be authentic and true to yourself. So when you're out there talking to people and, kind of having these type of networking conversations, what's your perspective on making sure that you're always being authentic? Is that super important to you in that relationship that you're starting to build with others?
Yeah, I think authenticity is very important. I used to be a people pleaser and I used to just like morph into this person that I think this other person would like. And I think it's very like it's hard to avoid that sometimes. Because you want to be likable. So you want to seem like you agree to everything that they say and you're on the same page and stuff. But sometimes it's okay to have a little bit of intellectual sparring and it's okay to have opposite sides sometimes. And I think because I put a lot of importance in authenticity,
Mhm.
I think one way to help yourself to maintain it is to have clarity with your passion and alignment with your values. So that's how I always think. It's like, oh, is this clear to my passion or is this in alignment with my values? And that's like the two main things. Like there's a lot of subsections to that and it's way deeper than that, but those are two main things that I kind of analyze so that I'm sure that I maintain authenticity in whatever I do, whoever I speak to, networking events and such. And I think it's kind of like any other relationship. Like you want to start in there with being your true self. You want to be honest. You want to be open. So I think it's the same with networking as well. You don't want to just like lie your way around and then you're stuck in this hole and you didn't know how to got there or how to like get up from it because you didn't know who's that person that got you into this hole. So yeah, in shorter words, I think being authentic is the best thing that you can do for yourself because you will always have your authentic self. So don't throw it away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of times I'll be like, oh, I'm so quirky, I'm so this, I'm so that, but you know what? That's who I am, and sometimes that's I just have to be okay with that and acknowledge it, and it becomes part of your persona, right? It's who you are and how you deal with others, and it's just so important to not try to change that because that's uncomfortable. You're not being true to yourself in that way.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because once you're authentic to what you are, you'll definitely attract the right people that you want to be with.
Yep.
And if you try to like transform to something else, you'll attract people that would like that version of yourself. But once you show your true self, they might not agree to it. So always be your authentic self.
Yeah, I love that. So, how would you suggest? So, we've got, let's say we have women out there that are listening right now, and they want to know what is step one that I should go do to start to expand my network and expand, finding like-minded people and growth both professionally and personally. So, what do you think one of those first important steps are for women to get out there?
I think what really helped me as well, and I think what would help others as well, is like having the goal. Like, for example, in a week's time, I want to meet one new person each week. It can be different to that, but that's just an example. And that may be through LinkedIn, or that may be just talking to someone on like the park or a networking event. And once you set that goal, you just keep like increasing it to like a sustainable level, of course. And yeah, I think that's one way to grow your network because whether that person would be, I mean, not, I guess not usable, whether that person would be in line with what you're looking into in the future or not, I think it's important for you to meet them because in networking, it's important for you to meet people that you like and meet people that you don't think you agree with because it helps you kind of build up that thing in your head of, oh, this is now what I want to focus on. I don't think I want to focus on this thing. And yeah, I think it builds up like a database in your brain of who do you want to talk to and who do you not really agree with and stuff. And yeah, and I think having those like tiny wins would really help you no matter what. And yeah, just always just go for it. Like it's easier said than done, but when you're nervous, that just means you care. So just keep going for it. There's no other better advice rather than just go for it for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it's so uncomfortable at first, isn't it? You're like, what's
Yes,
this person
very.
gonna think when they get this LinkedIn message? But then it goes okay, and then that helps to fuel confidence, and I think that's one thing that for women is hard to grab hold of is that self confidence that it's okay to reach out to somebody who I don't know and take a chance.
Yes, definitely. And I do know that most women like to say, "Oh, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about that." I have this mantra wherein apologize less, think more. So I think that would also be a good starting point in terms of networking and reaching out to people instead of saying sorry to bother you, that which sets a negative tone. You should say thank you for the time that you've given me. And that sets up like more of a positive like start to it, and that'll probably help you initiate a lot of conversations, whether it's in person or virtually.
Oh, I'm going to take that and apply it across the board because I do find myself, somebody will ask me a question for work and you feel like or I have to ask of somebody to do something. I'll always be like, sorry, I know it's an inconvenience, but you know what? It's not. It needs to get done. So to your point, I think I'm going to start by saying, thank you for helping instead of sorry to bother you.
Yeah, that's really great. That also helped me have a different perception with the mistakes as well. Instead of sorry,
Yeah.
I did the wrong thing, I always say, oh, thank you for correcting me, or thank you for flagging this. Thank you for helping me change the format or something like that. And it totally changes your perception into this like negative stigma of mistakes to like positive stigma of like, ooh, lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. Because to your point earlier, those are where we find the most growth potential are whenever there's been a mistake or something happens. That's where you really learn a lot about yourself and how you respond to situations. So I love that. Well, outside of just social platforms, are there any organizations that you belong to that help both raise awareness to women in STEM, who help from a networking perspective? Any organizations that you belong to or are a part of?
So I'm in the committee of Young Engineers Australia, which is a subsection of Engineers Australia. So it is an association that deals with engineers and like wanting to expand the network by providing events, having different assessments for chartership, stuff like that. But I guess on like the surface level, they do a lot of events that helps you widen your network and also enhance your skills. And I think that's very important to get yourself out there and get yourself, even not in a committee, just being a member in like a certain organization, because aside from widening your network, it would really help you boost your confidence because it's it's a different feeling when you say, "Ooh, I'm a part of this." Like it's really great. So I think that's also a great way of widening your path, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think more and more because of COVID or part of the output of COVID is the fact that there are so many online networks that you can join and participate in a little bit more readily than having to go to in person, or maybe you're in a rural area and there's not a lot available. So I think that growth and attention that virtual events got from COVID was actually a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And like I said earlier, like it can be a step-by-step process. You don't have to jump into it straight away. So you can start with a LinkedIn message and then jump into a virtual networking before you jump into in person if you're feeling really hesitant and nervous. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, what's next for yourself? What's on the horizon for growth? Where are you headed? Any upcoming events, speaking events? Any fun things that you've got coming up?
So ones that are planned are I'm hoping to launch my podcast sometime early next year, which is called What She Thinks. And it's just about like empowering women. And I think that's really important. And I am, I actually just launched a business. I helped uni students, or can be not uni students, but there's my target market, help build their personal branding, help them build their resumes, be interview ready, have the confidence for networking sessions and all that. Um, so I think that is one of my greatest personal projects because I'm very passionate about it as well. And yeah, the unplanned things, who knows? There's always there's always one on the horizon. And yeah, I always, at the start of the year, I always write something to myself and opening it at the end of the year helps me kind of keep track of what I've achieved and what I can do. So once I read that letter, then I'll probably know more.
What's the name of your new business?
My new business is called Build Your Brand.
Okay.
And as the name suggests, it helps you gain confidence and build your brand and I guess get a jump start towards industry.
Okay. How about we put a link? Do you have a to your website or to your LinkedIn site right on our show notes and direct everybody out there to take a look?
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, I
Thank you so much, Emily.
Of course, I saw that on LinkedIn and I'm like, oh, this is exciting. That's exciting. So
because I found the gap between like university and industry when I was an international student, and being an international student with like English being a second language, it was like all like really hard, and being a woman in the male dominated industry, and I found that gap and hoping that this business would bridge that gap and help people.
yeah, it definitely will. I think about some of the networking. So I'm a part of an organization called Women in Tech. And there's a global chapter, but then also there's a local Buffalo, New York chapter, and I sit on their board of directors. And I think about in our community, we have a high number of women or girls essentially who have graduated from high school who have children. And they have to try to, figure out what they're going to do and get a balance. And when a lot of them go to college, there's not a place for them to go to help, to your point, bridge the gap between what I experienced growing up and having a child out of high school, what I experienced in college. Now, how do I get ready to go out into the world? And somebody like yourself who could hop on a call with them and help them build confidence and self-esteem and have practice and understand interview. Like, what an important thing that you're doing. Like, it is important. That is a very big thing that you're doing, and you should be super proud of yourself.
Thank you, Emily. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciated your time. I've actually walked away learning so much from you, Heimy. I really have.
Oh, thanks, Ellen. Thanks, Emily. Thanks so much for having me. And it's just really amazing to have this opportunity to share my thoughts. And yeah, hope I connect with all of you soon.
Yes, for sure. And actually, we're a story of networking and how we met. We met through a group on LinkedIn, and just was inspired by what I had come to see for the great work that you're doing. Again, Womengineer is brilliant. You should be. I love that. I think I need something for IT. Maybe we should come up with something for for IT like
I'll
that.
help you make it.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. It really was inspirational to hear about your story and the work that you're doing and the fact that you've been able to now build your brand and launch. And it's incredible. And I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, producer Ken. Thanks for being here today.
You got it.
Thanks, Ken.
Have a great rest of your day. I hope the rest of your day goes well. I know you're just getting started, but really appreciate your time and have a good one.
Thank you so much, Emily, and you too. And just send me a message and we can work on that that name.
I love it.
I'll try to find some things for you and see.
I love it. That's perfect.
Have an awesome day. Thank you so
All right.
much again.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.